The docking arms of Vora 9 station slid into place with a metallic groan that echoed through the shuttle's hull. Captain Aaron Cale stood near the hatch, helmet tucked under his arm, watching the pressure indicators cycle green. Beyond the small viewport, crowds moved along the concourse. Merchants, diplomats, scavengers, and soldiers from half a dozen species. The moment they saw the human insignia on the shuttle, the flow of bodies shifted. Conversations quieted. Backs stiffened. Some outright stepped away. Fear traveled across the alien faces like a silent signal. Aaron exhaled through his nose. "Same welcome as always," he murmured. Lieutenant Sarah Venn, adjusting her tactical vest behind him, gave a dry laugh. "They act like we burned their childhood homes." "Many think we did," Corporal Dax Holt replied, handing Aaron a tablet. "Status reports. Docking permissions. Restricted again." "Of course." Aaron powered it on. Restrictions on human movement had become routine. The Concorde insisted they were precautionary, but everyone knew who pushed for them. The Archive Dominion had a talent for shaping policy through fear. The hatch cycled open. Warm air carrying spices and engine exhaust filled the cabin. The moment Aaron stepped out, the concourse rippled with unease. A Zelcri trader froze mid-transaction, eyes wide. 2 Archive officers stopped talking entirely. Even a towering Borith warrior shifted aside, pretending to browse a cargo manifest. Aaron kept his expression calm. Any sharp movement would only reinforce their assumptions. Behind him, his 3-person strike team followed in disciplined formation. Jean Ravel, the medic, whispered, "I don't know how you stay so calm in this." "I don't take it personally," Aaron answered. "Fear is easier than understanding." They approached a checkpoint where a Concorde officer scanned Aaron's ID with stiff hands. The device beeped. The officer swallowed. "Your presence is noted, Captain. You and your team are restricted to Blue Sector unless escorted." "Understood," Aaron said. It always amazed him how a single sentence delivered in a steady voice could relax someone who expected a monster. The officer eased a step back, nodding quickly. As they walked, the station's vast interior unfolded around them, elevated walkways, shimmering holoads, diplomatic halls sealed behind transparent security barriers. Vora 9 was meant to be a symbol of unity, yet every corridor whispered division the moment Aaron passed through it. Sarah leaned closer. "Archive eyes at 10 o'clock." Aaron didn't turn. A pair of Archive observers stood near a balcony, their silver skin catching the overhead lights. Their narrow eyes studied Aaron with a clinical coldness, as if they were watching a specimen rather than a person. "Let them watch," Aaron whispered. "We're supposed to be here." Supposed to. But the Archive were always searching for reasons to claim humans didn't belong anywhere. They reached a diplomatic hall where Aaron was scheduled to escort a minor trade representative. The assignment should have been simple. Instead, the atmosphere felt wrong. Subtle tension clung to the air, guards gripping weapons a little too tightly, diplomats whispering more urgently than usual, Archive officers standing in unusual clusters. Sarah noticed it too. "Something's stirring." "It's been stirring for years," Dax muttered. "No," Aaron said quietly. "This is different." He sensed an underlying urgency, like the station itself was waiting for a signal. A soft vibration buzzed in Aaron's earpiece. Station-wide communication channels flickered across every nearby screen. Conversations died instantly as a broadcast override took control. A Concorde seal appeared, followed by an emergency tone that silenced the entire hall. "This can't be good," Jean whispered. The hollow feed stabilized into the image of a burning world. Ash clouds, crumbling structures, ships falling from orbit. A planet consumed within minutes. The announcer's voice shook. "The colony of Farron 6 has been destroyed. Surveillance confirms the attack came from a human strike vessel." A shock wave of disbelief rolled through the hall. Aaron's breath caught. Impossible. Holoscreens zoomed in on a vessel firing a devastating orbital lance, sleek, angular, unmistakably human in profile. It even bore Terran registry marks. "It's fabricated," Sarah said instantly. "The alignment of the energy signature is wrong." "Doesn't matter," Dax replied grimly. "They'll believe it. They want to believe it." The feed shifted to Concord leadership. Their expressions were a blend of fear and outrage. Effective immediately, the chair announced, "All human soldiers are to be detained for investigation." Chaos exploded around them. Diplomats shouted. Guards scrambled to seal exits. Archive officers moved with eerie synchronization, their gazes locking onto Aaron. Jean stepped closer. "Orders!" Aaron's mind sharpened. "We're leaving. Now." He guided his team through a side corridor. As they moved, station lights flickered, the same interference he'd noticed earlier. Someone had prepared for this moment. Archive troops appeared at the far end of the hallway. "Captain Aaron Kale," one announced. "Surrender yourself to Concord custody." Aaron lifted his hands slightly, not in surrender but as a non-threatening gesture. "There's been a mistake. The footage is fabricated." "We are aware of humanity's capacity for deception," the officer replied coldly. Sarah stepped forward. "We are not your enemy. You are what you were built to be," the archive officer said. "Dangerous." Aaron's jaw tightened. "Jean, smoke." The medic tossed a spherical device. Vapor erupted, swallowing the corridor. Aaron moved his team through an emergency hatch before the archive could reorganize. They sprinted down maintenance corridors lit only by dim red strip. Alarms blared across the station. Every announcement repeated the same message. "All human personnel are to be detained." Dax checked a console as they passed. "Docking clamps on Talon 3 are being locked." "Override them," Aaron ordered. "I can try, but someone's running interference." "They've been planning this," Sarah said. "Waiting for an excuse." "They got one," Aaron replied bitterly. "A manufactured one." They reached a gravlift leading toward the hangar bays. Aaron paused long enough to glance at the station's outer windows. The stars beyond seemed colder than usual, as if the galaxy itself had turned away. Jin's breath hitched. "Captain, they'll use this to justify wiping us out." "I know." Aaron steadied his voice. "Which is why we can't let them." He looked at each of his team, people who had followed him through war, loss, and impossible odds. They didn't need motivation. They only needed direction. "We find out who staged this," Aaron said. "And we survive long enough to prove it." Sarah nodded. "Then we move." As they stepped into the gravlift, a new announcement broke through the sirens. "Human strike vessel detected leaving secure perimeter. All forces intercept immediately." Dax cursed. "They think we already fled?" Aaron stared at the flashing lights above them. No. Someone wanted that assumption circulating. Someone was guiding the narrative. "Captain," Sarah said softly, "whatever this is, it's bigger than a frame job." Aaron met her gaze. "Then we're already behind." The lift ascended. The doors opened to a chaotic hangar, troops mobilizing, shuttles warming, alarms echoing off steel. Their ship waited across the bay, clamps still locking it down. Aaron pointed. "We reach Talon 3. We get off this station." "And then what?" Jean asked. The hangar erupted the moment Aaron's boots hit the deck. Sirens cut through the metallic air, drowning the roar of engines powering up across the bay. Archive soldiers sprinted along elevated platforms, weapons locking into position. Every movement focused on one target, Aaron and his team. "Go!" Aaron barked. Sarah led the charge across the open floor, weaving between crates as bolts shaved metal from their edges. Jean slid behind a fuel pod, returning fire with precise bursts meant to delay rather than injure. Dax sprinted toward an access terminal on the wall beside their ship, fingers already prepping an override. "Talon 3's clamps are fighting me," he yelled over the chaos. "Keep at it," Aaron said, covering him. The Archive troops advanced with relentless discipline, their armor reflecting the flashing beacons overhead. Aaron fired short, controlled bursts, forcing them to scatter. He'd fought the Archive for years, but even he felt the shift in their posture. This wasn't containment. It was elimination. Sarah ducked beside him. They're pushing hard. They can't let us leave, Aaron replied. They already think we did, she said. Aaron didn't answer. The implication lingered. Someone wanted their escape recorded before it even happened. Got it! Dax shouted. Clamps releasing. The Talon 3 hummed to life. Aaron signaled the others and dashed for the ramp as the ship's engines warmed with a deep, rising growl. Jean covered their retreat. Move, move! Aaron reached the control interface inside the hatch and slammed the seal command. The ramp closed as bolts struck its outer surface. A harsh vibration shook the hull. Inside the cockpit, Aaron dropped into the pilot seat. Dax secured the engineering console. Sarah activated targeting systems while Jean scanned the ship's readout. Station lockdown is still active, Dax warned. We're boxed in unless we break through. We'll break through, Aaron said. Strap in. As the Talon 3 lifted, Archive interceptors launched from adjacent bays. Aaron eased the throttle, threading between scaffolding towers and defense grids that glowed with rising charge. Hangar shields are closing, Sarah called out. Aaron accelerated. The Talon 3 surged forward, engines screaming. A shimmering barrier began descending from the ceiling. The gap shrank rapidly. Come on, Dax murmured. Aaron pushed the thrusters past safety thresholds. The Talon 3 blasted through the barrier seconds before it sealed, streaking into open space with a shockwave rippling behind them. Immediately, the comm channels flared with hostile requests. Unregistered human vessel, halt engines. You are in violation. Aaron cut the transmission. Plot an exit vector. No slipstream. They'll predict it. Sarah typed furiously. Suggesting a debris field route. Dense mineral scatter, bad for scans. Perfect, Aaron said. The station shrank behind them, its defense turrets rotating toward their path. Interceptor squadrons closed in a tightening grid formation. They're going to fire, Jean whispered. They will, Aaron said. Hold steady. A moment later, a barrage of ion rounds lit the void. Aaron banked sharply, pressure pulling at them. The Talon 3 skimmed through the first wave. A second volley followed. Sarah launched countermeasures, dispersing small plasma clouds that confused the Archive targeting arrays. Dax glanced at Aaron. They're treating us like war criminals. They want a quick resolution, Aaron replied. And they don't want us talking, Sarah added. The Talon 3 broke past the outer perimeter, diving toward the debris field of a shattered moon. Jagged rock fragments drifted in cold silence, casting long shadows against the starlight. Aaron angled the ship into the dense cluster. The Archive craft hesitated. Navigating inside would risk collision. We lost their lock, Jean said, exhaling. Not for long, Aaron cautioned. Sarah, mask our energy signature. Working. The ship settled behind a massive fragment, engines powered down to a whisper. For the first time in minutes, the cabin fell still. Dax wiped sweat from his brow. We can't keep running forever. We won't, Aaron said. But we needed distance before deciding our next move. Sarah tapped her console. Captain. Concord broadcast just updated. Aaron turned to her. What now? She played the message. A grave voice filled the cabin. By order of the Concord Council, all human military personnel are to be terminated on sight. Any ship harboring human soldiers will be deemed hostile. The word struck like a physical blow. Jean leaned back, stunned. Terminate? No investigation. They already believe the evidence, Sarah said quietly. Dax's fists tightened. This is how it ends for us? A lie. Aaron felt a weight settle in his chest, but he kept his voice controlled. They panicked. Fear makes governments reckless. And the Archive, Sarah added, are feeding that fear. Aaron studied the drifting rocks outside the viewport. The destruction around them reminded him too much of human history, worlds lost, People erased by decisions made behind sealed doors. This isn't random, he said. Someone engineered the attack, then pushed a narrative before we could react. Jean tilted her head. Why frame us now? Because we're few, Aaron answered. And they think eliminating us will be easy. Silence followed. Finally, Sarah straightened. Where to next? Aaron tapped coordinates into the navigation console. Hadion. Dax frowned. That graveyard? Nothing lives there. Exactly, Aaron said. Which makes it the perfect place to trace the tampered data. Jean raised a brow. You think the interference on Vora 9 came from Hadion's relic networks? It's possible, Aaron replied. Old war tech leaves footprints. Whoever forged that footage made mistakes. Sarah nodded slowly. And we pick up the trail in the ruins. Aaron met their eyes one by one. We clear our name by finding the truth, not by hiding in a debris field. The crew exchanged determined looks, fear replaced by resolve. Course set, Sarah confirmed. Aaron powered up the engines. As the Talon 3 drifted from the moon's shadow, movement flickered on the sensors. Jean sat up sharply. We've got company. 3 Archive Scout drones drifted into view, scanning the debris for traces of the Talon 3. Aaron muttered, we waited too long. He launched the ship forward. The drones reacted instantly, beams cutting across their path. Dax monitored the systems. They're flagging our trail. Others will follow. Then we outrun them, Aaron said. The Talon 3 shot into open space, weaving through the last fragments of the shattered moon. The drones kept pace for several seconds but fell back once Aaron initiated precision maneuvers only a human pilot could execute. Drones lost, Sarah confirmed. We're clear. Aaron set their heading for Hadion, then allowed himself a quiet breath. Get some rest where you can. This won't get easier. Dax nodded. Captain, thank you. For what? Aaron asked. For not letting the galaxy decide our fate. Aaron didn't reply. He stared at the streaking stars ahead, knowing their situation would worsen before it improved. But for the first time since the attack broadcast played, he felt something steady beneath the fear. A direction, a purpose, and the determination to expose whoever wanted humanity erased. Hadion appeared in the viewport as a scarred sphere of broken continents and ash-colored deserts. Storms spun across the ruins like restless ghosts. The planet had once held vibrant cities before the Terran survival war reduced it to rubble. Now only silence remained. Aaron guided the Talon 3 into the atmosphere, turbulence shaking the cabin. Jean braced her equipment as dust clouds swallowed the ship. Sarah scanned the surface. I'm picking up abandoned structures near the old Archive communication grid. Power readings are faint but present. Good, Aaron said. If anything was used to forge that footage, it'll leave traces in leftover systems. Dax looked uneasy. Hadion still carries radiation pocket. Hull shields can handle it, but we need masks once outside. Understood, Aaron replied. We're not staying long. When they landed on cracked obsidian terrain, winds howled across jagged rock. Aaron stepped out first, visor sealing automatically. The air tasted of dust and metal even through filtration. Hadion felt like a graveyard that never forgave those who created it. Jean adjusted her pack. This place always feels angry. Places don't get angry, Dax muttered. People do. Sarah pointed toward a collapsed tower half buried in sand. Archive relay hub. Let's check inside. They moved across the ruins, boots crunching over shattered glass and scorched debris. Aaron's memories tugged at him. Battles fought here, commands he had given, choices that haunted him still. He kept his focus forward. The past would not help them now. Inside the relay hub, dim emergency lights flickered weakly. Rusted consoles lined the walls, some cracked from age or weapon fire. Dust floated through the stale air. Dax knelt beside a terminal. If anything was used recently, we'll know. These systems were never fully wiped. Jean swept the room with her scanner. Residual energy signatures. Someone accessed this hub less than a month ago. Aaron felt a shift in the air. Who would return to a dead war zone? Someone who wanted to hide their tracks in a forgotten place, Sarah answered. Dax bypassed the security protocols with practiced speed. Panels hummed. Screens flickered. Then, lines of altered data appeared across the display. Captain, Dax said quietly, this is the colony attack file. The one they claim came from us. Aaron stepped forward. The image was identical to the footage broadcast across the galaxy. But here, under the surface code, he saw the truth. It's patched, Sarah noted, examining the encryption layers. They grafted Terran signatures onto archive tech. That's why it looked authentic. Jean frowned. So they ran the fabrication from this ruin? Dax shook his head. Not exactly. This hub was used as a stepping stone. Someone routed through here to mask the origin. Follow the trail, Aaron said. Dax began isolating data fragments. The more they uncovered, the more the pattern revealed itself. Precision editing, false time-stamping, deliberate misdirection, an operation executed by someone with deep knowledge of both human and archive systems. Whoever did this, Sarah said, is skilled. Extremely skilled. Jean watched Aaron carefully. Captain, this was planned long before Farron 6 was hit. Aaron didn't look away from the screen. I know. Silence tightened around them. The truth was forming faster than any of them expected. Dax suddenly stiffened. Incoming signal? The console flashed with an encrypted transmission, origin unknown, coordinates masked. A voice crackled through. Human strike team, do not power down the relay. I've been searching for you. Sarah raised her weapon. Identify yourself. Static hissed. Then the voice returned, more stable. I am Dr. Lyran of the Archive Dominion. I have evidence that can clear your species. But I cannot escape my world alone. Aaron's grip tightened. Why contact us? Because I designed the mimic technology used in the false attack, she said. And I can prove it was stolen and deployed by someone in high command. Dax exchanged a stunned look with Jean. She's admitting involvement. Not willingly, Lyran replied. My research was taken from me. My colleagues vanished. I am next. Aaron kept his voice steady. Why should we trust you? You shouldn't, she said. But if you don't help me, the real architect, Archon Vraxcal, will finish what he started. Humanity will be erased, and the Dominion will rise uncontested. The name hit hard. Sarah muttered, Vraxcal. Makes sense. Jean asked, Where are you now? Lyran hesitated. I am transmitting from a secure node, but they will trace me soon. I will send coordinates. You must come quickly. Aaron narrowed his eyes. If this is a trap, then you will die, Lyran answered bluntly. But if you do nothing, your people will die anyway. Choose the risk that gives you a chance. The transmission cut off. The silence afterward felt heavy. Dax broke it. Could be bait. Could be genuine, Sarah countered. She sounded terrified. Jean folded her arms. If she truly can expose Vrax, we need her. Aaron looked around the ruined relay. The fabricated data beneath his fingertips was proof enough that their enemy was operating with confidence. Someone bold. Someone who didn't fear repercussions. Someone who believed the galaxy would accept humanity's extinction without question. We go, Aaron decided. Dax exhaled. Then we'd better move. Radiation levels are rising outside. Before leaving, Sarah extracted the remaining fragments of fabricated code. This is enough to challenge the official story. But we'll need Lyran's testimony to make it undeniable. Aaron nodded. And we must reach her before the Dominion wipes her out. They exited the relay into a gathering storm. Dust spiraled into towering walls, lightning arcing silently across the dark sky. Hadion seemed eager to bury them along with its memories. As they approached the Talon 3, Aaron paused, glancing back at the ruined landscape. Jean stepped beside him. Something wrong. Hadion shows what fear creates, Aaron said. If we fail, the galaxy will look like this. Jean nodded quietly. Then we can't fail. Inside the Talon 3, Sarah brought up the coordinates Lyran had sent, deep within Archive-controlled space. That region is heavily fortified, she warned. Infiltration won't be easy. It was never meant to be, Aaron replied. Plot the course. Dax secured the data files. If this works, we expose everything. And if it doesn't? Jean asked. Aaron took his seat, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. Then we keep fighting until someone listens. The engines roared to life, lifting the ship into the storm. Lightning streaked past as they pierced the clouds and ascended toward space. Sarah looked back at Aaron once they cleared the atmosphere. Captain, the Concorde countdown has started. Aaron's heartbeat slowed, not from calm but from resolve. How long? 72 hours until Terra is targeted, she answered. The word struck like steel. Aaron tightened his harness. Then we move faster. The Talon 3 accelerated into the void, carrying them toward an enemy who wanted them silent, and an ally who might be their only chance. The Archive Citadel rose from a sea of metallic plains, its obsidian towers reflecting dim starlight like blades aimed skyward. Lightning crawled along its angular spires, drawn to structures that pulsed with defensive energy. Even from orbit, the fortress radiated hostility. Aaron stood behind Sarah as she studied the approach path. Their patrol formations are tight, she said. Any direct entry will trigger the entire defense grid. We're not entering directly, Aaron replied. We're using Lyran's route. Dax frowned. Assuming she survived long enough for her information to remain valid. She's alive, Aaron said. He didn't explain how he knew. Something in her voice earlier told him she hadn't given up. The Talon 3 descended through the hazy upper atmosphere. Thunderheads rolled beneath them, streaked with electricity. Readouts flashed proximity warnings as they neared the Citadel's exclusion zone. Sarah activated stealth systems. The ship shimmered and vanished from visible scans. Hold this vector, Aaron instructed. Take us to the auxiliary heat exhaust, the blind spot Lyran marked. The exhaust chute loomed like a cavern mouth. It belched periodic waves of thermal energy that distorted the air. Timing this will be delicate, Dax muttered. Delicate is fine, Aaron said. Missing the entry isn't. He synced the thrusters to the heat pulses. On the next cooling cycle, he dove the Talon 3 straight into the chute. The hull rattled violently, alarms flickering, but they held course until the interior opened into a sprawling maintenance chamber. Touchdown, Sarah said as the landing gear extended. Aaron grabbed his gear. Move fast. Lyran won't last long if Vrax knows she reached out. They advanced through narrow corridors lit by faint blue lines etched into the walls. The Citadel's architecture felt alive, cold, symmetrical, precise. Even whispering felt intrusive. A distant rumble echoed from deeper within. Jean paused. That didn't sound like machinery. It wasn't, Aaron replied. They followed the sound until they reached an observation chamber overlooking a detention wing. Inside one of the cells, an Archive woman knelt beside a shattered console, attempting to destroy it before guards arrived. Lyran. Aaron triggered a silent override using the code she transmitted earlier. The cell door slid open. She turned, startled. You actually came. You asked, Aaron said. We don't leave allies behind. Her eyes widened slightly at the word allies. She rose quickly, clutching a data module. Vrax is preparing the final stage. He already convinced a majority of the Concorde that humans manipulated the last war. Once Terra is gone, he'll claim Archive leadership must restore order. Not happening, Sarah said. Lyran gestured urgently. The evidence you need is in the central vault. If we reach it in time, we can broadcast everything. Then lead the way, Aaron said. They moved through winding passages while distant alarm chimes echoed, low, rhythmic, growing more frequent. Jean whispered, They know we're inside. They suspected the moment the exhaust cycle shifted, Dax replied quietly. They emerged into a vast chamber suspended above a glowing core. Transparent platforms connected to a central pillar where the data vault rose like a monolith. Guard rails were absent. Archive architecture assumed anyone who fell deserved to. Lyran keyed a sequence on a holographic panel. This bridge will activate for 30 seconds. After that, the Citadel will lock down. 30 is enough, Aaron said. The bridge materialized, thin, shimmering, barely solid. They sprinted across. Halfway over, a resounding alarm blared. Platforms ahead lit with red indicators as armored Archive enforcers flooded the chamber. Dax cursed. We're boxed in. Aaron pulled his sidearm. Jean, Sarah, left flank. Dax, right with me. Bolts surged across the bridge, striking sparks where they hit the surface. Aaron fired in short bursts, forcing the enforcers to duck behind barriers. Sarah's precise shots kept them from advancing. Lyran crouched near the vault interface. I need a minute to bypass the inner lock. You have 30 seconds, Aaron said. Then you need to hold them off longer than that, she shot back, fingers dancing across the panels. A fresh wave of guards advanced from the left. Jean rolled a stunner disc that burst into a web of blue arcs, anchoring them in place. Dax lay beside Aaron, firing between pulses. Captain, more incoming. I see them. Aaron shifted positions, keeping pressure on the enforcers. He'd built in his weapons chamber, but he kept firing. The bridge flickered under sustained impacts. Aaron, Lyran called. Vault open. She slammed the module into the data terminal. The screen filled with cascading files, flight logs, signatures, schematics, command trails, all pointing to Vrak. Sarah's eyes widened. This is enough to expose him. Lyran nodded. But it needs to be broadcast from the Citadel's communication spine. Only it has the reach to override the Concord network. Behind them, the bridge destabilized further. Enforcers pressed closer, shots slicing the air. Dax pushed himself up. I'll hold them. Aaron turned sharply. No. Dax offered a grim smile. You need to reach the spine. Someone has to keep this bridge intact. There has to be another way, Jean said, voice tight. There isn't, Dax said. And we all know it. Aaron stared at him. Friend engineer, the man who had saved their lives 100 times. Dax had already made his choice. Go, Dax urged. Before they lock us down for good. Aaron hesitated only a second before nodding. Thank you. Dax stepped forward, firing rapidly, drawing enemy fire toward himself. The team sprinted toward the spine access as the bridge behind them blazed with collisions. A thunderous blast shook the chamber. The bridge collapsed. Dax vanished in the explosion's flare. Jean choked but kept running. Sarah's jaw tightened. Lyran looked back with raw guilt. Aaron didn't let himself feel the loss, not yet. Morning would come later. Now only the mission mattered. They reached the communication spine, a towering column of pulsing conduit. Aaron connected Lyran's module to the uplink. Lights raced upward as the files transmitted. Sarah monitored the feed. Signal strength rising, almost through. Suddenly, a cold voice echoed around them. You disappoint me, Captain Kale. Vraxcal stepped from the shadows, his armor reflecting the blue glow. Humanity clings to survival like a disease. Aaron raised his weapon. Fear doesn't make you strong, Vrax. It makes you desperate. Vrax tilted his head. Fear is order. Your kind rejects order. That is why you must be removed. And yet, Aaron said, we're the ones trying to prevent another war. War is inevitable, Vrax replied. But this time, it will be controlled. He swung his weapon up, but a sudden pulse surged through the spine. Sarah shouted, broadcast complete. Lyran stepped forward. It's over, Vrax. The galaxy sees the truth. Vrax's expression hardened. The galaxy sees chaos. Aaron fired first. Vrax staggered, then vanished behind a defensive shield as the chamber filled with alarms. The Citadel's systems spiraled into lockdown. "Time to go!" Jean yelled. They sprinted toward the maintenance exit as structural supports trembled. The Talon 3's transponder beacon pinged their location, guiding them through collapsing corridors. They reached the ship moments before containment shutters sealed. Aaron launched them into the sky just as the Citadel erupted in cascading failures.